and they're like mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer.
Evil
Nobody is
scale.
good. No matter who you are,
He said
everyone
nobody's
is
good.
All right, so last week we jumped into the world of Warhammer, and I introduced you to Bricky and his videos, and then the Warhammer universe. How do you feel about it so far?
Crazy.
Because it was a lot to take in.
It was a lot to take
Yeah.
in. I found myself thinking about it later, trying to work some things out.
Yeah.
And it definitely was a lot to digest, but I was like, I'm ready to jump back into it.
Okay.
See what else they got going on.
Right. So what do you understand so far?
So far, it is a lot of war. And that's what I was thinking about most, because I was like, how do they find happiness?
Yeah, right.
That was my main concern.
They find happiness through war.
I just can't digest that. No, and it's something that I just like kept, I don't know the right word, like mowing over, you know?
Yeah.
And then the Emperor, how many souls he just kept digesting. You know, it was just a lot. It felt chaotic. It felt overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it had me question, like, why would anybody be birthed into a life such as that?
Yeah, that's Warhammer.
Yeah.
So with what you've learned so far about the warp, the Imperium, the Emperor, and just Warhammer in general,
Okay.
that is like the tip of the iceberg. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dive in.
I feel like,
we're gonna
maybe
dive
I need
in.
to rewatch some of it then. 'Cause
Yeah.
I did feel overwhelmed.
We're definitely gonna have to rewatch some of it, but now we're gonna dive a little deeper into the factions of
Okay.
Warhammer. Now this is breaking up all the different factions that are included in Warhammer and who's at war with each other.
Yeah.
And that's gonna and Bricky's gonna explain some of that.
Okay.
But we're gonna dive even deeper after that. And
I feel like you should have prepared me a little bit better.
well, I'm prepared. This because this is how it was for me. You just gotta get thrown in there. You gotta
so
get
that's what
thrown
you're
into
doing
the
to me.
water, and then you'll just everything
can't
start
swim.
everything will start piecing together. Once you start watching it, once you start understanding how everything is, and then from there we're gonna jump into the game. And so we're gonna put you in the place of a as someone in the grimdark. And I'm gonna let you play the game so you can actually see how it is.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Y'all can leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, but let's go.
Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this is going to
Hi,
be a
Bricky.
long video and a large project that has been going on for quite.
And guys, yes, we are going to break this up because I know it's going to be a lot, but I'm going to try and make it as least overwhelming as possible.
Okay.
So we are going to break this up.
Some time. This is, I need two hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40K race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, mostly lore, what they're all about,
Tabletop.
and also a little bit of background.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So Warhammer is based off of a tabletop video game, or not a video game, a tabletop game. Kind of like
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons, they have the figurines and stuff. So that's actually kind of like where it came from. And then
Okay, so because I thought it came from books, because you were telling me about the books.
there is a huge library of books.
Okay.
But mainly this, like people roll dice and play the tabletop.
Do
game.
they make those?
Yeah, and you buy the figurines and then you paint them. and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
So that's
Okay.
actually,
It's like an art.
yeah, it's like the next level of the hobby.
Oh, okay.
About the tabletop, mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is.
Yeah.
Now you see, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens, and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well in case you were curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore. Oh, boo-hoo! What is Warhammer 40,000? Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year 40,000, the 41st millennium. That's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD. You're already more knowledgeable. Let me read you a quote, first of many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. To be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars.
You know, I had a glimmer of hope because I was questioning, will there ever be peace? It felt chaotic.
I did the same thing.
So
I said the exact, when I first watched this.
That felt so dark.
Yeah.
And hopeless.
Right, yeah. Hopeless.
Because I'm like, I was thinking about it. I was like, so what do they do for fun? Like, is the right word meandering? Just thinking about all these different things. I'm like, they must find joy in something. What are their hobbies?
Killing.
You know?
Killing heretics. Killing non-believers.
Yeah, so there is no peace.
No. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.
That's it.
That's it. This is nothing.
Why are you laughing?
It get worse.
Only an eternity of carnage and slaughter and the laughter of thirsting gods. Everything blows. And it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction.
Like.
Or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks, but that's like the charm of it. See, everything in Warhammer is evil, but being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity in its own right is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer.
Evil
Nobody is
scale.
good. No matter who you are,
He said
everyone
nobody's
is some
good.
flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy.
Wow.
But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass. Villains are
no
cool.
good guys.
They look cool, they got cool outfits, they got cool weapons, they got cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
It's hair, whack. It's gear, whack.
The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the Emperor of mankind, a 10-foot-tall psychic demigod who led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age. This man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40K, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker. Top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarchs. He created 20.
Are there women
18 Primarchs.
Are there women what?
here? Like,
Yeah. Oh, we haven't even got to the women yet.
because he created sons
Yeah.
basically without women. So
There's women here. We'll get to it.
To have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier, the warp, that immaterium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 Chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods,
Like the
that's
devil
the
made me
reason.
do it.
And so those Chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs
Oh,
to
see?
lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor on Earth. And they fucked up shit. After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40K, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth
like a lot
to
of
some
work.
crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone for all of humanity. you're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them.
It's like the Catholic Church. They're really parallel to the Catholic Church in this.
Yeah.
Like the Pope hat, the cross, the cathedral.
Yeah, it's how it was back in the day, medieval times when they were going on crusade wars. Yeah, killing heretics and
people.
Yeah, people, right? You weren't Christian or whatever, you know.
Yeah, this definitely
mirrors real life.
Ooh.
It's probably what's going to happen in the future.
Don't say that.
Think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40K. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what, you're preaching that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars.
If you are a heretic,
someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor,
they're not knocking on your door.
They're kicking it down, and you better believe.
If they come, then chances are they already know that you're a non-believer, so they coming to kill you.
Are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic, and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Shit now, man! You finished. That's it, man. Game over, man.
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day like flak armor with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun, the main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40K universe. Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons.
Wow.
That's the world we're in right now. But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers.
But that, you gotta think about, you know, they go across the galaxy conquering worlds, enslaving people. Some planets are just only mining planets.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, you know, that's where they're getting all the resources to do this.
And firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen see a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachan jungle fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan Winter Soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years, the Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle, and then of course the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium.
Exporting
You will fire your
people from a
first gun at
world?
5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first swarm lord at 16. And
like
if you mention
300.
Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote, I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40K. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic.
So it's like, do they have like a pledge of allegiance?
I'm sure they do.
You know, it's just like little tidbits that I'm trying to think of what their everyday life is like.
Well, he already told you. You get up, you shine your, or you toggle your weapon. You pray to the Emperor. You pray to your weapon, and then you go to war.
Every day.
Or you wait for orders. Yeah.
Ooh, that seems
As he
bleak.
continues to explain, it's
Where
gonna
they
get
get all the food from?
slave planets.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you got to understand, like,
my mind is trying to wrap around all of this because it's like
it's a lot.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
planets, and yeah.
Think about it. If mankind is expanding out and they're conquering galaxies, conquering worlds, they would, because we do it now. One of the main reasons why we're
just
trying to
here.
explore space
For
is to get
resources.
asteroids and shit for resources. And so they probably have like whole planets where they farm cows and shit.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
then-
they're trying to get asteroids for resources.
Well,
it's just
no,
one
I'm
of
saying
the
that's
things.
that's what we were doing. If they had a gold meteorite out there, somebody would be trying to get it. But yeah, I'm sure that's what they have, like farm planets and
Yeah,
shit.
because I watched The Expanse, and they have like mining planets,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
said.
Because how else? I mean, are you going to be
Yeah,
able
you
to?
can't get it all from Earth or Terra in this case.
Right, yeah.
So they've explored so many worlds that the world is just like a one farm or one mining.
Yeah.
Or it's like maybe that's what will happen when we discover other planets.
Yeah.
We'll terraform it and
Enslave the aliens.
or
Yeah. Or if aliens get to us first, maybe that's what they'll do to us. Anyway.
Actually represent the main Imperial Guard tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines.
The
The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're
Genetically engineered.
Yes. Now, this is a huge part of the lore, and this is what a lot of people know Warhammer 40K for, the Space Marines.
Okay.
So we're probably going to watch a lot more content on Space Marines.
Okay.
But yeah, I do want you to pay attention to who they are.
Okay.
more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines. The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average person. They're pretty massive people, and these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before, oversees their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard. There's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin is tougher. They are overall just extremely powerful soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boys, strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong, and that's a lore problem, but the White Scars by Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders. You want to go in quick, you want to hit them hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies, buzzsaws, with the speed of buzzsaws. Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing red eyes.
Wow.
Apparently something about living on their home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like fantasy land anyway. Overall, Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil like everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine Legions. Imperial Fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets. Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings and wolves and tons of wolves and axes, battle axes, fur everywhere. Space Wolves, angry, big teeth, Blood Angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy called the
like
Red
vampires.
Thirst. They have Cupid wings and stuff, which is a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius. Dark Angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and...
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once in a blue moon, I know.
Death Watch, a fancy-pantsy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays because Death Watch, and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know about Death Watch. They're there though. Black Templars, for the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're gonna start praying out that airlock. And I'm sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fists and stuff, but those are the main ones right here. Here, quote from the Emperor himself. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe will best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror, they are my defenders of humanity, they are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall, Space Marines just have it's like a Swiss Army knife, a tool for anything you need, except it's like a gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is extremely strong. If you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you. Space Marines are super badass, but unfortunately, it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology!
The Adeptus Manicus. That'll be the next faction that we discuss in the next video.
Mechanicus.
But as I said, we want to kind of take things slow a little bit so that you can digest some of the lore that you've just been introduced to.
It's a lot.
What do you think so far?
Yeah, it's a lot. All the different Space Marine factions, it's like they're related, but they're not.
Yeah.
Because they're using some kind of DNA technology to create them. And again, I ask, where are the women? You know, why you keep making that face?
We're going to get there.
Okay, now it feels like it's not good.
I mean,
are we just whores? You know, but it's hard not to put myself into this, I guess, this world, because I think, how would I survive? What would I do? Where would I be? Would I be, because a lot of times, even with the other games that we do, like, what's the one with the Last of Us? And I said I would not want to survive a life such as that. And this begs the same question, but if this is all you know, so The Last of Us is different because
it's like a zombie apocalypse.
But you know another life.
Yeah, right.
But if this is all you know,
yeah, you would just find a way.
You would just find a way, and that's my perspective.
I did the same thing when I was introduced to the lore, and I was looking at, you know, who all the factions were, or the Chaos Gods and all the other stuff, and I was already making the decision in my mind where I would want to be, or who I would serve, or who I would want to work with. Yeah. And
so what faction?
I knew you were gonna ask that,
okay.
but I'm not gonna tell you.
You not?
Nah.
Why not?
Because you don't.
Because I don't what? Nah.
Nah. If I told you, then you would probably judge me. But if I'll do this. If we make it through to the end of the lore, then I'll tell you, and you'll have a better understanding and reasoning of why I chose.
Okay. I mean, you did like Stannis Lannister, and I
Stannis
judged
Baratheon in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so I judged you on that, but
right.
this is a little bit different.
Yeah, this is different. Yeah, everybody's evil. So.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll choose the lesser of the evils, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that'd be cool. You know, you choose the nicer Space Marines.
But I want to see the women though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in the next video. So guys, make sure you stay tuned. We're gonna continue things with our next post on factions, and of course, make sure y'all stay tuned because I'm gonna be introducing Tasha to the world of grimdark in the video games through the Space Marine games and Dark Tide. So we'll see y'all next time. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.
Ta-ta.
The beneficent Emperor has sent us to cleanse this place.
Oh, cleanse.
Yeah, we gotta cleanse it.
I've been marking the days off on my big ships.
Oh, bitch.